The first time Lily Caldwell heard a sound, she thought the world was breaking. Her small hands flew to her ears. Her eyes went wide, glossy with panic. Her chest rose like she'd been underwater and someone yanked her up too fast. And the one person standing in front of her, holding the tiny object that made it happen, was the new maid. Before we continue, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stick around till the end. Because this story is going to shock you, inspire you, and leave you thinking about it long after it's over. Ethan Caldwell's mansion sat high above the city like a polished glass crown. From the outside, it looked perfect. Clean lines, tall windows, flawless gardens. The kind of place people slowed down to stare at. The kind of place magazines called a modern dream. But inside, it was quiet in a way that didn't feel peaceful. It felt careful, controlled, especially around Lily. Lily was 8 years old, soft-faced, bright-eyed, with light brown hair that she always wore in a neat ponytail. She loved puzzles, drawing tiny cities with markers, and watching people's lips move as they spoke, studying the shapes like they were a secret language of their own. Because Lily had been born deaf. That was what everyone said. It was what the doctors had written down. It was what Ethan had built his entire world around since the day she arrived. He learned sign language. He built her a custom learning room with giant screens and colorful flashcards. He hired the best teachers, the best therapists, the best of everything. But money could buy comfort, not miracles. And no matter how many times Ethan told himself Lily was happy, the truth still hit him at night when the house went still. Lily lived behind a wall he couldn't climb. That morning, Ethan stood at the kitchen island in a crisp navy shirt, reading emails with one hand while signing with the other. Lily sat across from him, feet swinging, munching strawberry slices. Ethan's movements were practiced now. "How was school yesterday?" Lily signed back, quick and playful. "Good. Mrs. Harper says I'm fast at math." Ethan smiled, but his eyes stayed tired. He leaned forward and brushed a kiss on Lily's forehead. "I'm proud of you." Lily beamed, then glanced toward the hallway. "New maid today?" Ethan's mouth tightened slightly. "Yes," he said, though Lily didn't hear it. He signed too. "Her name is Grace. Be kind." Lily signed, "I'm always kind." Ethan tried to laugh, but it came out soft. "That's my girl." He checked his watch. Another meeting. Another investor call. Another long day of being Ethan Caldwell, the billionaire everyone admired. But the only title that mattered to him was Dad. When he left, the security doors whispered shut behind him. The quiet returned. And that was when Grace Bennett walked in. She didn't look like the other staff Ethan had hired before. No stiff posture. No nervous smile that screamed, "I hope I don't mess up." Grace looked calm, almost too calm, like a person who had seen bigger storms than a billionaire's house. She was in her early 30s, average height, slim, with dark hair pulled into a low bun. Her eyes were observant in a way that made people feel noticed. The house manager introduced her quickly, then hurried off like he had 1,000 things to do. Grace turned to Lily and lifted her hand in a gentle wave. Lily tilted her head, studying her face. Grace signed slowly, careful with her fingers. "Hi, Lily. I'm Grace." Lily's eyebrows jumped. She signed back immediately. "You can sign?" Grace smiled. "I can." Lily's shoulders relaxed, and she gave a small grin that said, "Okay. You can stay." Grace spent the morning doing what maids do, wiping spotless counters, folding towels that were already perfectly folded, straightening pillows that didn't need straightening. But she kept watching Lily. Not in a creepy way. In a thoughtful way. Lily sat on the living room rug, building a city out of blocks. Every so often, she would tap a block against the floor before placing it, as if she liked the vibration. When the big grandfather clock in the corner ticked, Lily didn't react, because she couldn't hear it. But when a heavy truck passed outside and the floor trembled slightly, Lily's eyes flicked up. Grace noticed that. At noon, Lily went to her art table and began drawing. Grace brought her water and pointed at the picture. "Beautiful. What is it?" Lily signed, "A bridge. Over water. With lights." Grace watched Lily's pencil strokes, then glanced around the room. On the bookshelf was a framed photo of Lily as a baby. Tiny, wrapped in a blanket. Ethan beside her looking terrified and amazed at the same time. Next to it was another photo. A woman with warm eyes and a wide smile, her arm around Ethan. Lily's mother. Her name, Grace later learned from the house manager, was Claire Caldwell. She had died 3 years ago after a sudden illness that the staff spoke about in low voices. Like saying it too loudly might make the grief come back. In the afternoon, the house manager told Grace to clean the east wing. "Mr. Caldwell doesn't go in there much," he said. It was Mrs. Caldwell's side. Grace nodded. Understood. The east wing smelled different. Not dirty, just untouched. Like air that hadn't been disturbed. Grace opened doors carefully, dusting, straightening, moving through the rooms with a kind of respect. Then she stepped into a bedroom that felt like a memory frozen in place. A vanity with perfume bottles lined up neatly. A pale scarf draped over a chair. A jewelry box slightly open, as if someone had meant to come back and finish closing it. Grace swallowed. Something in her chest tightened, but she kept working. That was when she noticed the small trunk at the foot of the closet. It wasn't locked. Grace hesitated, then lifted the lid. Inside were old books, folded sweaters, photo albums, and a soft teddy bear with one ear stitched badly, like it had been repaired in a hurry. Grace reached for the bear and felt something hard inside it. Her fingers paused. A hidden pocket. Someone had sewn something into the teddy bear. Grace's heart beat faster. She looked around the quiet room, suddenly aware of how alone she was. She carefully pulled at the stitching until the pocket opened. And from inside the teddy bear, Grace pulled out a tiny velvet pouch. Her hands trembled as she loosened the drawstring. A small device slid into her palm. It was smooth and modern-looking, with a thin wire and a rounded piece at the end. Not a toy. Not jewelry. Grace stared at it, breath shallow, because she knew exactly what it was. A hearing device. The kind used for testing. The kind used for fitting. The kind that should have been in a clinic, not hidden inside a child's teddy bear like a secret. Grace's face went pale. Why would Claire hide this? And why would anyone keep it away from Lily? Grace's mind raced. Then she noticed something else in the pouch. A folded paper, yellowed at the edges. A note written in careful handwriting. Grace opened it and read the first line. Her stomach dropped. Because it wasn't just a note. It was a warning. Grace didn't even realize she was moving until she was back downstairs, clutching the device like it might vanish if she let go. Lily was still at her art table. Grace knelt beside her, trying to steady her breathing. Lily looked up, curious. Grace signed, "Lily, I need to show you something. Okay?" Lily's eyes narrowed slightly. She glanced at the pouch, then back to Grace. "Okay." Grace's fingers shook as she held the device up. She didn't know if she should do this. She didn't know what could happen. But something deep inside her said, "This is why you're here." Grace placed the rounded piece gently against Lily's head, near her ear, the way she'd learned long ago. Lily blinked once, twice. Then her entire body stiffened. Her eyes widened like she'd just seen a ghost. And then, fear. Real, instant fear. Lily's hands flew up, knocking Grace's hand away. The device clattered onto the table. Lily stood so fast the chair scraped the floor. Her mouth opened in a silent gasp, her breath quick, her face pale. Grace reached out. Lily backed away. Grace signed desperately, "Lily, it's okay. You're safe. It's okay." But Lily didn't look okay. She looked like she had just stepped into a world she didn't understand. And right then, the front door opened. High heels clicked across the marble floor. Grace froze. Lily turned. And a woman's voice, sharp, controlled, and very familiar to the house, filled the space as she walked in. "What?" Vivian Caldwell said slowly, eyes locking onto the device on the table, "is going on here?" Vivian Caldwell didn't rush. She walked into the room like she owned it, even though her name wasn't on the deed. Her hair was perfectly styled. Her coat looked expensive. Her eyes were sharp enough to slice glass. Lily stood frozen near the art table, her hands hovering in the air like she didn't know what language to use anymore. Grace was on one knee, trying to look calm while her heart hammered against her ribs. Vivian's gaze snapped to the small device on the table. Then to Grace. Then to Lily. "What is going on here?" Vivian repeated, slower this time. Grace swallowed. "Lily and I were." Vivian cut her off with a raised palm. "Don't speak. Not yet." She leaned closer to Lily, her smile suddenly soft and sweet, like a mask sliding into place. "Hi, sweetheart," she said. "Are you okay?" Lily stared at her, confused. She couldn't hear Vivian's voice, but she could read the shape of her mouth. The way Vivian's eyes didn't match her smile. Lily signed quickly to Grace, hands shaking. "Aunt Vivian." She came. Grace's stomach tightened. So Vivian wasn't just some random visitor. She was family. Close family. Grace stood up slowly, putting herself just slightly between Lily and Vivian without making it obvious. "Lily got startled," Grace said, choosing her words carefully. "I found something upstairs in Mrs. Caldwell's old things. I thought it belonged to Lily." Vivian's eyes narrowed. "You went through Claire's things?" "I was asked to clean the East Wing." Vivian's lips pressed into a thin line. She reached for the device on the table. Grace's hand shot out first and covered it. Vivian paused, surprised by the courage. Then she smiled again, colder this time. "Take your hand off that." Grace didn't move. "I'd like to speak to Mr. Caldwell about it." Vivian's gaze hardened. "Ethan is busy. And you are staff. You don't get to like anything." Lily's eyes flicked between them. She didn't understand the words, but she understood the tension. Her breathing was still fast. Her little fingers dug into the edge of the table. Grace shifted her hand slightly so Lily could see her signs. "It's okay. Stay close." Lily took a hesitant step toward Grace. Vivian noticed. Her voice stayed pleasant, but her face looked irritated. "Lily, sweetie, come here." Lily didn't move. Vivian's eyes flashed. She lowered her voice and spoke with extra care, like she was explaining something to a stubborn child. "You don't need to be near her," Vivian said. "She's new. She doesn't understand you like I do." Grace almost laughed at that, because Vivian wasn't signing at all. Not even trying. Grace kept her attention on Lily. "Lily, do you know what that was? The thing you felt?" Lily hesitated, then signed slowly, like she was searching for the right idea. "It was loud. Like when you drop something heavy. Inside my head." Grace nodded. That single sentence made something click in her mind. Educative truth, right in front of her. Some people born with hearing loss can still sense certain vibrations or even have partial hearing that's never properly detected without the right tests. A child can be labeled deaf, and no one thinks to double-check once the label sticks. Especially if the people around the child prefer the label to stay. Vivian watched Lily sign and her eyes tightened again. She didn't understand the signs, and it bothered her. "Enough," Vivian snapped. "Give me that device." Grace lifted the velvet pouch and the folded note without letting Vivian see the paper clearly. "I'll hold it until Ethan gets home." Vivian stepped closer, her perfume sharp. "Listen carefully, Grace. I've been in this family long before you. You are not going to walk into this house and start experimenting on my niece like she's a science project." Grace's jaw clenched. "I wasn't experimenting. I was trying to help." Vivian leaned in so only Grace could hear. "You don't know what you're doing. And if you care about keeping your job, you'll stop." Grace met her stare. Helping a child isn't wrong. For the first time, Vivian's mask slipped. Just a crack. And in that crack, Grace saw something ugly. Fear. Vivian straightened, smoothing her coat as if nothing happened. "Fine," she said. "We'll wait for Ethan." She turned to Lily and forced a smile again. "I brought you something, Lily. A new sketchbook. The one you like." Lily didn't react. Not to the words, but to the body language. Vivian was pushing. Lily could feel it. Grace touched Lily's shoulder gently and signed. "Go to your room for a minute. Breathe. I'll come." Lily hesitated like she didn't want to leave Grace alone with Vivian. Then Lily nodded and slipped away, quiet footsteps on marble. The moment Lily was out of sight, Vivian's warmth disappeared completely. Vivian's voice dropped. "You are going to hand over everything you found upstairs." Grace kept her grip on the pouch. "No." Vivian's eyes went icy. "Do you know what happens when people cross this family? They don't get second chances. They get replaced." Grace's stomach turned, but she stayed steady. "Are you threatening me?" Vivian's smile returned, thin and polished. "I'm advising you." Grace's mind raced. She couldn't let Vivian take the device. She couldn't let her take the note either, because Grace had read the first line already. And it wasn't normal. It wasn't "Dear Lily, I love you." It was a warning written like someone was running out of time. Grace stepped back slightly and slid the pouch into the pocket of her apron, as calmly as she could. Vivian's eyes followed the movement like a hawk. "Oh," Vivian said softly, "so that's how it's going to be." Before Grace could reply, Vivian's phone rang. Vivian glanced at the screen, then turned away and answered quietly. "Yes, she found it." "No, Lily saw it too." "I know. Handle it." Grace's skin went cold. "Handle it?" Vivian ended the call and tucked the phone away as if she'd just ordered lunch. Grace forced her voice to stay even. "Ethan will want to know." Vivian walked toward the window, looking down at the city like she was above everyone in it. "Ethan wants peace," she said, "and I provide it. That little girl's life has been stable because we all agreed on what she is." Grace's eyes narrowed. "Agreed?" Vivian turned slowly. "You heard me." That single word, "agreed," hit Grace like a punch. Because it sounded like Lily's condition wasn't just a medical fact. It sounded like a decision. A choice. And choices can be undone. Grace waited until Vivian left the room to make a call to Ethan. The second Vivian's heels faded down the hallway, Grace rushed to the small pantry by the kitchen, pulled out the folded note, and opened it fully with shaking hands. The handwriting was neat, feminine, familiar from the signature on old thank you cards in Claire's room. Claire Caldwell had written it. Grace read silently, every line tightening her throat. It wasn't long, but it was terrifying. It said that Lily was not completely deaf. It said Claire had proof. It said someone close had pressured doctors to stop further testing. It said Ethan didn't know. And the last line was the one that made Grace's blood run cold. "If anything happens to me, do not trust Vivian." Grace's hands started to tremble so badly she had to press the paper against the pantry shelf to steady it. Because now it wasn't just about a hearing device. It was about why it had been hidden. And what else had been hidden with it. Behind her, somewhere in the house, a door opened. Footsteps moved, slow, heavy, unfamiliar. Grace folded the note quickly, shoved it back into the pouch, and turned around. The pantry doorway was dark, and someone was standing there. The figure in the pantry doorway stepped forward just enough for the light to catch his face. It was Owen Porter, the house manager. But he wasn't alone. Behind him stood a taller man in a dark jacket, broad shoulders filling the doorway like a wall. He didn't wear a uniform. He wore the kind of expression that said he didn't need one. Grace's throat tightened. Porter's eyes flicked to Grace's apron pocket, then back to her face. "Grace," he said carefully, "Mrs. Vivian would like to see you. Now." Grace forced her voice to stay calm. "I was just getting water." Porter didn't move. She said it was urgent. The taller man behind him took one silent step into the pantry. Not aggressive, just claiming space. Grace's fingers tightened around the edge of the shelf behind her. Her phone was in her back pocket. The velvet pouch and note were in her apron pocket. And Lily was somewhere in the house, alone. Grace nodded as if she had no choice. "Okay." As she walked out, she kept her posture steady. But inside, her mind was racing. Don't panic. Don't show fear. Don't let them corner you. The tall man followed 2 steps behind her, like he was escorting her even though no one had said the word. Vivian was waiting in the living room, sitting neatly on the sofa with her legs crossed, as calm as a queen on a throne. "You took a long time," Vivian said, her voice soft. Grace stopped a safe distance away. "I was working." Vivian's eyes shifted to Porter. "Owen, could you give us privacy?" Porter hesitated, then nodded and left. The tall man stayed. Vivian didn't look at him. "That's fine. He's here for safety." Grace stared at Vivian. "Safety from who?" Vivian's smile was small. "From bad decisions." Grace's heartbeat thudded louder. Vivian leaned forward. "Hand it over." Grace didn't pretend not to understand. "No." Vivian sighed like Grace was being childish. "You're new, so you don't know how things work here. But I'll explain. Ethan Caldwell doesn't need more pain. That man has built his entire life around protecting Lily. The label, the routines, the specialists, everything." Grace's voice sharpened. "You keep saying label like it's not real." Vivian's eyes didn't blink. "It is real enough." Grace held her ground. Claire didn't think so. The moment Claire's name left Grace's mouth, something shifted in Vivian's face. Not anger. Alarm. Vivian's mouth tightened. "You don't get to say her name like you knew her." Grace took a slow breath. "I found a note. It was hidden in her things. In Lily's teddy bear." Vivian's fingers tightened around the edge of the sofa cushion. "You went digging." "I was cleaning," Grace said, "and I found something that belongs to Lily. Something that could help her." Vivian's voice dropped. "You don't even understand what you're holding." Grace leaned forward slightly, her eyes steady. "Then explain it to me." Vivian stared at Grace for a long second, then stood. She walked closer, stopping just within arm's reach. "Claire was emotional," Vivian said quietly. "She wanted a miracle. She wanted to believe Lily could be fixed. But Lily is fine the way she is." Grace felt her stomach twist. "That's not what this is." Vivian's smile was thin. "Isn't it?" Grace's mind flashed back to Lily's terror. The way she'd flinched like the world had attacked her. Grace softened her voice. "Lily got scared because it was new, not because it was wrong." Vivian's eyes hardened. "You're not a doctor." Grace nodded. "No, but I grew up with one." Vivian paused. Grace went on, carefully. "My little brother was born with hearing loss. Everyone said deaf and moved on. But he wasn't completely deaf. He had some hearing, and it took the right specialist to prove it. The right tests. The right device." Vivian's lips parted slightly, but she didn't speak. Grace kept going, because the truth mattered. Labels become cages. People stop checking. They stop asking questions. And kids learn to accept what adults decide they are. Vivian's jaw tightened. "Enough." Grace's eyes flashed. "No, not enough. Not when Claire wrote a warning." Vivian turned her head slightly, and her voice became sharp as glass. "You're going to give me that note." Grace's hand slid into her apron pocket, but not to pull the note out. To press her phone. She had already taken a picture of the note in the pantry. She'd done it on instinct. Like a person who knew that truth can disappear if you don't capture it. Grace looked Vivian in the eyes. "Even if you take it, it's not gone." Vivian froze. Grace's phone buzzed softly in her pocket. A new message popped up on the screen because her finger had touched it. Delivered. Grace didn't smile, but her chest loosened a fraction. Vivian's eyes narrowed. "Who did you send it to?" Grace answered honestly. "Ethan." The room went still. Even the tall man behind Grace shifted his weight, like he suddenly realized this wasn't just staff drama anymore. Vivian's face changed. Her calm cracked. "You did what?" Vivian's voice snapped, losing its sweetness. Grace didn't back down. "He deserves to know." Vivian stepped forward, her eyes burning. "You have no idea what you just started." Grace's heart pounded, but she forced her hands to stay steady. If the truth causes trouble, it's because someone built a lie that couldn't survive it. Vivian's breath came quick. You think you're some hero? A savior, Maid? This is a billionaire's home. There are rules. There are lawyers. There are consequences. Grace swallowed hard. I'm not trying to be anything. I'm trying to protect a child. Vivian stared at Grace for a long moment. Then she turned sharply to the tall man. Get her out of this room, Vivian said. The man stepped forward. Grace's pulse jumped, but she raised both hands slowly, palms out. Don't touch me. The man paused. Not because he respected her. Because of the house cameras. Because of the risk. Vivian's voice went cold again. Fine. Then walk. And don't go near Lily. That name hit Grace like a spark. Grace's eyes narrowed. Where is Lily? Vivian's smile returned, but it didn't reach her eyes. Safe. Grace took one step forward. Let me see her. Vivian tilted her head. No. Grace's stomach dropped. Vivian. At that moment, the front doors opened. A deep male voice echoed through the entryway. What is going on? Ethan Caldwell walked in, suit jacket still on, tie loosened like he'd left in a hurry. His eyes swept the room and landed on Vivian first, then Grace, then the tall man standing too close. Ethan's face tightened. He signed automatically, even before he spoke, because it was his habit now when Lily might be nearby. Where is Lily? Grace's chest loosened with relief. Mr. Caldwell, she said quickly, I need to talk to you, alone, right now. Vivian moved fast, stepping into Ethan's line of sight with practiced grace. Ethan, darling, your new maid has been going through Claire's things and upsetting Lily with some device. I was trying to handle it before it became a mess. Ethan's eyes sharpened. He looked at Grace. Grace. Grace pulled out her phone with trembling fingers. I sent you something. Please check it. Ethan frowned, unlocking his phone immediately. His eyes scanned the screen. At first, his face was just confused. Then his expression changed. His skin went pale, like all the blood had drained away at once. Vivian's smile slipped. Ethan. Ethan lifted his head slowly, staring at Vivian like he was seeing her for the first time. Where, Ethan said, his voice low and dangerous, is my daughter? Vivian's lips parted. She's. A small scream, silent, but sharp, came from the hallway. Grace turned. Ethan turned. And Lily ran into the room, eyes wide, face terrified, hands shaking as she signed frantically at Grace. She's coming. She's taking me. She said I can't stay. Grace's heart dropped. Ethan's voice rose, fierce and raw. Who said that? Lily pointed behind her. And from the hallway, another woman stepped into view, older, stern-faced, dressed like a nurse. Grace had never seen her before, but Vivian smiled at her like they were old friends. Ah, Vivian said softly. Perfect timing. Ethan didn't move at first. He just stood there, staring at the woman in nurse's scrubs like his brain was trying to decide if this was real. Lily clung to Grace's side, trembling. Vivian's posture relaxed, like she'd been waiting for this exact moment. Ethan, she said smoothly, this is Dr. Marla Trent. She's a specialist. I called her because Lily was clearly distressed. Dr. Trent stepped forward with a gentle, practiced smile. She was in her late 50s, hair pulled back tight, clipboard in hand. Her eyes went straight to Lily, not Ethan. Hello, Lily, Dr. Trent said, speaking slowly and clearly, as if Lily could hear her. Then she looked at Ethan. Mr. Caldwell, I'm concerned about what I'm hearing. A device was placed on your daughter without proper supervision. Grace's stomach tightened. She had heard that tone before. Calm, professional, and dangerous because it sounded believable. Ethan's hands moved quickly in sign language toward Lily. Are you okay? Did anyone hurt you? Lily shook her head hard. Then signed back, frantic. Aunt Vivian said I must go with her. She said you can't stop it. Ethan's jaw clenched. He looked at Vivian. Why is a doctor here without my permission? Vivian lifted one shoulder. Permission? Ethan, you're always busy. Someone has to make decisions when you're not available. Ethan's voice lowered. I'm available now. Vivian's smile didn't change. Good. Then you'll understand why this needs to be handled properly. Dr. Trent's expression stayed neutral, but her words sharpened. Mr. Caldwell, your daughter has a long documented history of profound hearing loss. Sudden exposure to amplification, especially if she's not used to it, can cause distress. We need to remove her from this environment and evaluate her. Grace stepped forward. Evaluate her where? Dr. Trent glanced at Grace like she was an annoying fly. At a clinic. Grace didn't flinch. Which clinic? And who authorized it? Vivian answered for her. I did. Ethan's eyes narrowed. You're not her parent. Vivian sighed. Ethan, please, don't make this dramatic. Grace saw Ethan's hands tremble slightly, not with fear, but with the kind of rage a quiet man feels when something sacred is threatened. He turned to Dr. Trent. My daughter is not going anywhere without my consent. Dr. Trent's smile thinned. Then I'll have to document that you refused medical advice. Vivian leaned closer to Ethan. Do you want headlines? Ethan? Billionaire father refuses care for deaf child. You know how the world twists things. Ethan didn't look away. You're not the world. You're my sister. And for the first time, that word didn't sound like love. It sounded like disappointment. Grace reached into her apron pocket and pulled out her phone. She opened the photo of Claire's note and held it out. Mr. Caldwell, she said softly, please read it again. All of it. Ethan's eyes dropped to the screen. His face tightened as he reread the lines. When he reached the last sentence, do not trust Vivian. His throat bobbed, like he swallowed something sharp. Vivian's calm faltered. Ethan, that's not even verified. Claire was unwell. She wrote strange things. Ethan stared at her. Claire wrote that for a reason. Dr. Trent cleared her throat. Mr. Caldwell, with respect, family issues are separate from medical realities. Grace's voice cut through. Medical realities can be manipulated. Dr. Trent's eyes snapped to her. Excuse me. Grace looked at Ethan. There's something you should know. Some children aren't all or nothing deaf. Hearing loss exists on a spectrum. A child can have residual hearing, small responses to vibration, certain tones, certain frequencies. If no one retests properly, the label becomes permanent, and the child grows up believing there's no hope. Ethan's gaze fixed on Lily, guilt flickering in his eyes. Grace continued, steady and clear. Lily reacted today. She got scared. Yes, but she reacted. That matters. Vivian's voice rose. Or she reacted because she was overwhelmed. You're turning this into a fantasy. Ethan spoke through clenched teeth. If there's even a chance my daughter can hear, I should have known. Vivian took one step toward him. Ethan, listen to me. Lily is happy. She's stable. She has structure. Don't tear that apart because a maid thinks she found a miracle inside a teddy bear. Grace felt her cheeks burn, but she stayed calm. It wasn't a miracle. It was hidden. That's the point. Dr. Trent shifted her clipboard and looked at Ethan with a professional firmness. Mr. Caldwell, I'm going to insist we remove any device from the child immediately. And I recommend a controlled environment for testing. Ethan nodded once. Fine. Controlled testing. But not with you. Not with someone Vivian brought here like a surprise weapon. Vivian's eyes widened. Weapon? Ethan. Ethan turned sharply. You showed up with a doctor and a man I don't know and told my daughter she had to leave. What do you call that? Vivian's face flushed. She snapped her fingers toward the tall man. Call our attorney. The tall man stepped back, already pulling out his phone. Grace's stomach dropped again. Vivian looked Ethan dead in the eyes. Since you want to play the trust game, fine. Let's go legal. You forget something, Ethan. Lily has a trust in her name. Claire insisted on safeguards. And those safeguards include me. Ethan froze. What? Vivian's voice was syrupy again. Claire put conditions. If you were deemed emotionally compromised or medically negligent, temporary oversight transfers to the next responsible adult in the family. Ethan's hands tightened into fists. That's not true. Vivian shrugged. We'll see. Lily watched their faces like she was reading a storm. She signed to Ethan, small hands shaking. Dad, please, don't let them take me. Ethan dropped to one knee in front of her. He signed slowly, with force and tenderness at the same time. No one is taking you. I promise. Grace saw the way Lily's eyes searched Ethan's face, desperate for certainty. And then she saw something else, something that made her heart pound. Lily's gaze flicked to Ethan's mouth. Not just watching, listening, as if she was trying to catch something beyond the movement. Grace's mind flashed back to Lily's words earlier. Like when you drop something heavy inside my head. A tiny sound. A shock. A crack in a wall. Ethan stood and looked at Grace. Where did you find the note? In Claire's room, Grace said. In a trunk. There might be more. Ethan's eyes hardened. Show me. Vivian took a step forward. Ethan, don't you dare. Ethan cut her off. You don't get to control what I learn about my own wife. He turned to the tall man. You. Leave. Now. The tall man hesitated, glancing at Vivian. Ethan's voice turned deadly quiet. Now. The man backed away, slipping out of the room. Dr. Trent lifted her chin. Mr. Caldwell, if you refuse evaluation, I will. Ethan pointed toward the door without looking at her. Out. Dr. Trent's lips pressed together. She glanced at Vivian, then walked away stiffly, offended. Vivian's mask finally cracked into something sharper. Ethan, you're making a mistake. Ethan didn't blink. If you're innocent, the truth won't hurt you. Vivian's eyes narrowed. Truth hurts people all the time. Ethan took Lily's hand gently. Then he looked at Grace. Come with me. They moved fast up the stairs toward the east wing. And behind them, Vivian didn't follow. She smiled. A small, satisfied smile. Because as Ethan unlocked Claire's old bedroom door, Grace felt it. The sense that they were walking straight into something someone had worked very hard to bury. Grace stepped inside first. The air was still, heavy with memory. She went straight to the trunk and lifted the lid again. But the teddy bear was gone. Grace's breath caught. She looked around, panic rising. Someone had been here. And on the vanity mirror, stuck under the corner of a perfume bottle like a casual afterthought, was a single white sticky note. 3 words, written in neat handwriting. You're too late. Ethan's chest went tight as he stared at the sticky note on Claire's vanity mirror. You're too late. It wasn't just a message. It was a challenge. Grace felt her hands go cold. She was here, Grace whispered. Vivian, or someone she sent. Lily stood in the doorway, small shoulders pulled up, watching their faces like she was trying to understand a nightmare without sound. Ethan swallowed hard, then signed to Lily, slow and steady. You're safe. Stay with Grace. Lily nodded and moved closer to Grace, gripping her sleeve like a lifeline. Ethan's eyes swept the room with a new kind of focus. Not grief focus. Not memory focus. Investigation focus. Grace saw it clearly. Ethan Caldwell had spent years building a fortress for his daughter. Now he was about to turn that same fortress into a courtroom. He walked straight to the vanity and began opening drawers. Not roughly, carefully, like Claire might have planned this. Grace stepped closer and pointed at the perfume bottle holding the note. That one, she said. It looks moved. Ethan lifted the bottle. Under it, faintly scratched into the wood, were 2 letters. SB. Grace blinked. Safe box. Ethan's eyes sharpened. Claire had a safe deposit box, he murmured. But only she visited it. I never went with her. Grace's heart pounded. Then maybe she left something there. Ethan didn't waste time. He pulled his phone out and called someone, voice tight. Jenna, It's Ethan. I need you at Caldwell Tower now. Emergency. And call my security chief. Immediately. Grace recognized the tone. That was billionaire mode. Then Ethan turned to Owen Porter's office intercom and spoke, controlled and cold. Owen. In my study. Now. Minutes later, Porter walked in with sweaty palms and a face that tried too hard to look innocent. Ethan stood behind his desk, phone in hand, security cameras open on a screen. Grace and Lily sat quietly on the couch in the corner. Lily's eyes flicked between the adults, her anxiety visible in the tightness around her mouth. Ethan didn't shout. That somehow made it worse. Who gave Vivian access to the East Wing today? Ethan asked. Porter swallowed. Mr. Caldwell, I. Ethan tapped the screen. A camera angle showed the staircase. Vivian walking up earlier. Porter handing her something. A keycard. Porter's face drained. She said you approved it. Ethan's voice stayed low. I didn't. Porter's hands trembled. She threatened my job. She said she had authority. Grace leaned forward. She also brought a doctor here like it was planned. Porter looked down. Dr. Trent has been around the family for years. Years. Grace felt sick. Ethan's jaw flexed. Pack your things, Owen. You're done here. Security will escort you out. Porter's eyes widened. Mr. Caldwell, please. Ethan cut him off. You chose her, not my daughter. Porter left, shoulders collapsed. Lily watched Ethan, then signed with shaky hands. Aunt Vivian is bad? Ethan's eyes softened as he moved to Lily and knelt. He signed carefully, as if each word mattered. Aunt Vivian made choices that hurt people. I'm going to stop her. Lily's eyes filled with tears. She signed again, smaller. Mom tried? Ethan's face broke for a second. He nodded. Yes, and now we will finish what she started. That night, Ethan didn't sleep. By morning, his lawyer Jenna Ruiz arrived. Sharp suit, sharper eyes. Ethan showed her the photo of Claire's note on Grace's phone, the security footage, and the sticky note challenge. Jenna's mouth tightened. This is enough for an emergency protective order, she said. But we need something stronger to shut down her guardianship claim. Ethan's eyes narrowed. Then we'll get it. 3 hours later, Ethan and Jenna walked into a private bank downtown. Grace stayed back with Lily and a security guard at the mansion, trying to keep the world calm for a child whose world had just cracked open. When Ethan returned that evening, he wasn't empty-handed. He carried a slim envelope and a small flash drive. Grace stood as he entered, hope and fear tangled in her chest. You found something. Ethan's voice was hoarse. Claire left a full file. He handed Jenna the envelope first. Inside were copies of medical communications, emails and printed letters, showing appointments cancelled, referrals blocked, and a specialist's recommendation stamped declined. There were notes about family request and no further testing. Then Jenna plugged in the flash drive. A video appeared. Claire's face filled the screen, sitting in this very bedroom, eyes tired but clear. If you're watching this, Claire said softly, it means I was right to be afraid. Grace covered her mouth. Claire continued, Lily has residual hearing. I saw her react. I felt it in my bones. But Vivian pushed the doctors to stop. She said it would protect Lily. She said Ethan wouldn't handle hope and disappointment. Claire's expression tightened. That wasn't protection. It was control. Ethan's eyes went glassy, but he didn't look away. Claire's voice turned firmer. Vivian wants access to Lily's trust. The one I built for her future. She will use Lily's condition to paint Ethan as unstable, to claim he's not making medical decisions properly. If she tries that, fight her. Claire's last line was almost a whisper. And please, if you can, help Lily hear the world. Even a little. She deserves that chance. The room went silent except for Lily's soft breathing. Lily stared at the screen, not hearing it, but reading her mother's face, her lips, her eyes. She reached out and touched the laptop gently, like she could touch Claire through it. Ethan knelt beside Lily, voice shaking. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." Grace signed to Lily softly. "Your mom loved you. She planned this for you." Lily's eyes spilled over. She nodded, pressing her forehead against Grace's arm. The next day, Ethan moved fast. Jenna filed for a restraining order. Ethan's security team blocked Vivian's access codes and removed her from all visitor lists. Dr. Trent was reported to the medical board with evidence. And an independent pediatric audiologist, chosen by Ethan, vetted by Jenna, came to the mansion for a calm, child-friendly evaluation. No surprises. No pressure. No Vivian. Lily sat in a cozy room with soft lighting and a gentle specialist who signed as she spoke. Grace stayed near. Ethan sat where Lily could see him clearly. The tests took time. Slow sounds. Gentle vibrations. Carefully measured tones. And then the specialist looked at Ethan, eyes serious but hopeful. "She isn't profoundly deaf," the specialist said. "She has usable hearing in one ear. It's limited, but it's real. With the right hearing aid and therapy, she can learn to recognize more sounds over time." Ethan's breath caught like he'd been punched and saved in the same moment. Lily watched their faces and signed quickly to Grace. "What did she say? Is something wrong?" Grace's eyes filled as she signed back. "Nothing is wrong. You have a little hearing. We can help you." Lily blinked, stunned. Then her face crumpled, half fear, half wonder. A week later, the hearing aid was fitted gradually, carefully, with training and breaks so Lily wouldn't feel attacked by sound. The first time Lily heard something without panic, it was small. Not a big noise. Not the whole world crashing in. It was Ethan's voice, low and gentle, saying a sentence right beside her ear while she watched his lips. "I love you, Lily." Lily froze. Then her eyes widened, not with terror this time, just shock. She touched her ear slowly and signed with trembling hands. "I felt it. I felt your voice." Ethan laughed and cried at the same time, pulling her into a careful hug like she might shatter. Grace turned away to wipe her eyes, but her heart felt warm for the first time since she found that hidden pouch. Vivian didn't disappear quietly. She tried. She filed paperwork. She sent legal threats. She made calls. But Jenna was ready. When Vivian's petition arrived claiming Ethan was medically negligent, Jenna responded with the video, the blocked referrals, the security footage, and the independent specialist's report. The judge granted the protective order. Vivian was ordered to stay away. And when investigators started asking how Dr. Trent kept appearing in family emergencies without parental consent, Dr. Trent's confidence finally cracked too. One evening, Vivian stood outside the mansion gates, shouting into the intercom that Ethan was stealing Lily from her. Ethan didn't respond. He simply held Lily in his arms at the window and signed something to her. "You are not an object. You are not a tool. You are my daughter." Lily nodded and signed back, stronger now. "And I am me." Months passed. Lily learned new routines, new sounds, new courage. Some days were hard. Some days she ripped the device off and cried, overwhelmed. But Ethan never forced her. He learned patience the way he once learned power. Grace stayed too, no longer just a maid, but a trusted part of Lily's world. Not because she saved Lily, but because she refused to let truth be buried. And when Lily finally stood on a small school stage during a children's showcase and heard the faint rhythm of applause, more vibration than sound, she smiled so wide it looked like sunlight. Ethan watched, tears on his face, thinking about Claire. Thinking about how close they came to losing not just Lily's hearing, but her choices. Because the real terror wasn't the device. The real terror was realizing someone had tried to decide Lily's life for her. And the lesson was simple, but powerful. Love isn't control. Love is truth, patience, and the courage to fight for what's right, especially when it's inconvenient. Now tell me in the comments, if you were Ethan, would you have confronted Vivian sooner, or would you have trusted family until you had proof? And if you were Grace, would you have taken the risk the same way?